Welcome to J&J Monday on a Sunday. Jack Ali here, back again with my partner on our season 3. Hard to believe that's been 3 seasons. We had to cut the other seasons short. Josh again's waving an arm. Say hello, Josh, again.
Yo.
And we're going to start things off with something that's way overdue. This is going to be an ongoing, periodic discussion. That's why you see part 1 there.
Oh, good. Hang on. Okay. Hang on.
And look at that. This is when we go on live. She has a phone call, probably from her fiance.
No, it's from my asshole dad. He's probably calling to say I got home. So I'm coming home. He's been away golfing all day.
So. Oh, good. I wish I can go golfing.
Okay.
I'm not in Long Island, so I can't golf. And I'm not in Staten Island because they have a golf course there. I can't golf. And I can't golf anyway.
I can putt golf. Anything else. I can't. I hit too. I don't make the ball go far enough in real golf, and in putt golf, I can make the ball go too far.
Well, anyway, I can't golf. He's a lucky man. So, me, I'm not that fortunate. But here's what it's going to be fortunate here. We're going to be talking about 2 trailers. One is on fan base that everybody has. One is controversial. One leads to a pretty much further note of a discussion that we was originally supposed to have last season, but we're going to filter it down in different parts this season will lead to discussion. It's not going to be nothing to do with the prequels yet, but it's just an overall concept of what the Star Wars have and a little bit of myth of who's really the hero and why they're really not. That's the Jedi and Sith, and basically I just call them both the same, just different name titles. We're talking about the Star Wars Last Jedi, which is a teaser trailer, a very good teaser, and it didn't tell us much. As well as the Dark Tower, which was a lot of piecing, Josh.
What?
How when it's amazing.
It's cut. Now I can't hear you at all. I can't hear you. I'm sorry, folks. This is live. He's going to be back in a second. This is the glories you get to see when you do things live and unedited, and when anything and everything can go wrong. When we get to the Dark Tower section of the podcast, I'm going to probably have more to say as I've read all the books. I got the final book in the series as either a graduation gift, a birthday gift, or a Christmas gift. So that's going to be, yeah, I have opinions on the trailer and the direction it seems they're going to be taking the movie with, but I really don't want to say anything that I'm going to eventually repeat in, later on in the podcast. And with Star Wars, oh god, yeah. I did last week, or the week, 2 weeks ago, I did a short little post about some of the downsides of the Jedi Order, some things that didn't make sense. It's a very short post. I like to get them out once a week just so that I can talk about things that my longer blog posts won't allow me to, because sometimes it's the correct time to post things and then like a few days later interest wanes on the subject overall. And our host seems to be back.
All right, can you hear me?
Unfortunately, I can now.
I don't know what happened. My microphone, I gotta get new headphones, which I have not got the finance to do right now. But even with that, I think something's wrong with my UB port, because that's been going, if you tap it wrong, it gets out of sync. So it's annoying. So forgive me. If that happens, I'm going to go offline for a while just to get synced back up. But like I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by Mr. Mike. We're going to be talking about 2 major things here. We're going to talk about the Star Wars. But most of all, I'm getting a little sick and tired how you know how whitewashing has always been an issue, and it's still an issue in Hollywood. But it always seemed to be funny um, when is a character that is meant to be played by like an Asian character or someone who is not Caucasian. It's not a big deal. But when someone like Lucy Apple is playing a character that was generally was made white, all of a sudden all the hate comes out and all the hate group comes out. Can you explain this to me? Why has always been this issue
Well,
when it comes?
I can talk about the whole casting of Idris Elba as Roland, because it does have some non-racial things in the text. I did a short little podcast with Marty way back with when the initial casting was announced. But basically, my whole thing is that, okay, let's get this out of the way. The Dark Tower, the movie, is a sequel to the books, shown by the fact that Roland has the Horn of Eld, which he did not have in the original series. And one of my problems with the movie is that they're doing a sequel without doing the original first. But with the casting of so I do not know if the character I'm going to mention and characters are actually going to be in the first movie.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of people was mad. A lot of people was mad that it's not even because first of all, I didn't think the first book was all that great. It's the second book that really got things going.
Yes.
But many people are upset that their first book is they've been in the movie. They actually skipped the first book.
Well, the first book is just setting everything up. But yeah, things really get into play once you get to that second book. But in the second book, The Drawing of the Three, one of the characters that Roland brings into his quartet, which is the word for basically group, really long story short, is Odetta/Stetta, and she's a black woman who doesn't have her legs and has multiple personality disorder. Or, goddamn, I forget what it's called nowadays. Like, I just blanked out. But one of the personalities, Odetta, doesn't like white people at all. And that sort of character... And eventually, those two personalities converge into Susanna. Long story short. But so... And then Eddie is a druggie that Roland picks up and brings into his quartet. And so Odetta's relationship with both of them, Odetta's relationship and character building is really based on the fact that Roland and Eddie are white, her distrust of Roland. And so I'm just, with the cast, I just want to say Idris Elba is an awesome actor, and even if the movie is horrible, he will do wonders to it. But just that, I just worried about how they'll do the character, relationship, since it was very much based around race, and they cannot and should not change Odetta into a white lady, because that would ruin her character. And then some people bring up that the inspiration for Roland, I don't really share this opinion, but people have brought up the inspiration for Roland is Clint Eastwood. And for a lot of people, Idris Elba doesn't, have the same composure as him.
Now, here's the thing about this. For what I understand, a lot of people are worried that two cast members are not going to be mentioned. You just mentioned one of them. And it doesn't seem like taking the route of the books, which you just said right there. They're not taking the route of the books. But they do feel that it's like many people. I seen the trailer. I'm going to be honest with you. Even though I was looking forward for the Dark Tower movie, I'm not impressed the way this trailer was made.
Yeah, me too. It's like people have brought up like, oh, it's like a sequel, and oh, Stephen King has actually gave this movie his blessings to, take away criticism. When people are like, I was glad that people actually share this opinion, like book readers share the opinion of this doesn't really feel like like it's set in the Dark Towers universe. Like, you can have a sequel and do new things, but this is like, you have to remember, us book readers have been waiting forever for a Dark Tower movie. And when the trailer doesn't seem to have a good representation of the feel of the books, it's, yeah, I'm more
Another thing about
nervous.
this, one thing about this, look, I saw two films that two trailers that is based on Stephen King's book. I'm actually looking forward for it. I actually thought it was
Oh
going to
yeah,
be a waste
yeah.
of time,
I want to
and
see it.
it did a much better job getting me hyped
Like
than this film did. And I was kind of surprised. I thought it'd be the other way around.
I was my I've been worried for so long about this Dark Tower movie that I'm like, I didn't expect for the trailer to impress me, but I was like, maybe it'll just give me a slight bit of hope. I mean, with when Jurassic World was announced, I'm like, oh great, why the fuck are they making another one? The third one was a piece of shit. And once the trailer started coming out, I'm like, holy shit, I gotta see this. Like, I was sort of hoping that sort of feeling would be replicated with the Dark Tower trailer.
Well, maybe in the second one will actually bring more expectations. But like I said, it doesn't. It has that Batman Robin feel to it, which we already know that there's a kid in this movie. I just don't know where they're going with this one. It didn't feel like it felt like they either put their own spin to it, which I don't mind them doing it. But when it feels like it's something I've seen before, that's a problem. It's a huge problem. It reminds me of another film, which I'm not going to name right
What
now.
film? What film?
Tomorrowland.
Oh fuck, that was like, how much time was spent in Tomorrowland? Like 5 fucking minutes of a whole movie? I'm sorry.
It has that. It doesn't really have a make him a film that has any originality or any concept towards the Downtown series at all, and that's kind of that's saying a lot considering that they do have a good all-star cast. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what Matthew McConaughey has to do.
Like, even though I said I don't agree with the casting of Idris Elba, he's a great fucking actor. I know if the movie sucks, he will bring in a solid performance. So I'm excited to see how his take on Roland. Even though,
Well,
it's like,
let's just cross our fingers. I'm hoping for it too.
yeah, but
we said we were going to settle this last, by the way, but
Matthew McConaughey. I'm really like his casting. I think if it was him or William Dafoe, like either of those two are like perfect choices. So so I'm very happy.
Josh Brolin was going for the part.
What?
I was kind of surprised Josh Brolin was not offered the part of Roland. I was just kind of surprised. He has that Western feel to it. He wasn't a Western movie before, technically, if you count Country for No Man. But I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe, like I said, maybe I'm overlooking at it, but I just don't feel that they did enough. They put enough effort to actually. I understand they wanted to move away from being trapped in a corner where they have to please the audience with them staying close to the source material. But to me, it doesn't feel like the Dark Tower. It felt like something else altogether.
You can change things like for a sequel and take a scene and make a new spin. Just explore plot lines that couldn't be explored if you were doing a direct adaptation. But this is like, I'm worried. Oh fuck. Hello? Oh, great. Try unplugging and plugging your little headset in. Okay. Okay, okay, I
Can
can
you hear
hear
me?
you. Yeah.
All right. I had to do something with. I don't know what I did, but it worked. So I had to get, it
That's how
worked.
I fix all my technical problems. Well, not broken now.
You can hear me. That's good enough. All right. So we were supposed to discuss this last, but now we got that out the way. Obviously, we were both not happy with the trailer. I am happy with it though. Well, at least I will say this one thing I'm not looking forward to. I don't know that it's gonna be a two-parter. It does feel like it's gonna be a two-parter, which worries me a little bit.
No, I
But
think that splitting it. Sorry, I had my Kindle over there. I thought I had it in the normal spot over here, but I'm continuing to read it. I'm currently reading it, and it wouldn't work better if it was split into two parts because the book jumps around with different times. So giving a viewing audience one singular timeline that goes from point A to B clearly, that's a little easier to deal with because you have
and
them as
again,
children, and then this
that's
part two will
almost
be their adults.
impossible. That's almost impossible. That's almost 1,000+ page long. You haven't read the whole thing
No,
yet.
I know. I'm just saying if you focus on the childhood in part one, don't include everything because that would be impossible, but still just have the childhood being part one of their initial encounters with Pennywise and then defeating them. And then part two, them being called back to Derry to defeat Pennywise a second time. I'm not saying include
Well, let's
everything
see what they
because that
do.
would be impossible. And yeah, the whole orgy scene, and
That's not gonna happen.
yeah, that's probably. I'm like
Don't
excited.
even look for that.
I'm excited to get to that part just to see it for myself and for my own
It's
opinions
ridiculous.
because
It's
I've heard
ridiculous.
so much shit about it. I'm like,
It's ridiculous.
I
He
knew.
that tells me he had no way to end that book, and he just picked that. He he was on something when he did that one. I don't know what it was, but he was on
He
something.
was on some good shit.
Nevertheless, let's get to Star Wars.
After a slight hint at underage orgy, let's go on to kiddie-friendly Star Wars.
Last Jedi is the new title of the Star Wars thing. It's been out for a few weeks. People already made their own theories. And normally I like to stay away with the theories because they could be false and may not make no sense in overall canon. But there is one theory that has constantly been thrown out there. And after seeing the movies, seeing the prequels, seeing the original three, even some of the points of the Rebels and the Clone Wars and all that stuff, I came to the conclusion that not everything is what it seems with the Jedi Order, as well as the Sith Order, but particularly with the Jedi, which is deemed as the heroes of the film. The Last Jedi really pretty much opened the possibility that many people's feelings for the Jedi, including myself, is actually true. Now, before we go into those things, before we get right down and dirty with it, what's your feeling on the teaser trailer of The Last Jedi?
I
You're
liked
smiling.
it. I liked it. It was
That's it. You
looks
like, you
better
like it.
than the Dark Tower trailer.
I don't think it's a debate. There is one thing I like this thing too. I actually like the way they're going. It feels like it feels strong. It feels like it's gonna stay with the story and connect well with the Force Awakens. I do not buy this is the Empire Strike Back of this new trilogy, which technically is not a trilogy because they already said they're gonna make 10, 11, 12. So this is gonna be a while, guys, and
Well, there's
not
going to
including.
be each section to be like its own little trilogy. And I haven't been keeping up with that behind the scenes news though.
One thing did wrong to people's attention though is almost say George Lucas there is we got to talk about him later though, but
No, we
not now.
don't.
Is Luke Skywalker's comment just after before the trailer ends, and that is it's time for the Jedi to end. And many people were scratching their head as what he meant. Now, before we get into this debate, what do you felt that? What do you thought what he means when he said that? Because you
Okay,
know it's not going to be the last of the Jedi's. It's something going to change. Something has to change.
okay,
It involves Rey,
yeah, okay,
and it
so
involves Luke. Go ahead. I'm on
okay,
this.
well, it could mean that of I would be okay with either of these two, but of the two possibilities I see, this is one I would like the least, but I still wouldn't mind, is that Luke has gone evil. You know, the uh, whole incident with all his Jedi Academy being destroyed, him being, on this planet in seclusion for so long, and he was looking for any hope, and fear can lead to the dark side, and so his fear of what to do next could have made him to look up what he thinks is the best option, but just in his mind becomes warped, and he just slowly became, to the dark side. And even though the expanded universe is now, not canon, they still can draw inspiration from it. And in the comics, Dark Empire 1 and 2, Luke does actually go to the dark side. So there is at least basis for that. And the other thing is that I don't believe it was ever made canon, but there's this thing called the Gray Jedi, and they don't serve the light side or the dark side, but they serve balance. They serve in the middle. And, Ray's comment from earlier in the trailer going, I see light, dark, and balance, might even, serve, makes the theory seem a little more true that they're actually going to bring in the Gray Jedi, which would be, awesome to have them be canon.
All right, very interesting comment right there. A very interesting theory there. I'm gonna bring you my theory, and it's something I have seen during the prequels, which everybody wants to bitch on, which I think that they have missed the point of what the prequels were trying to say, and what George Lucas was trying to say, even with the Clone Wars, even with the Rebels, and now we see it here. And I think it's been pretty much proven without a shadow of doubt. I think the Gray scenario is more true to this trilogy than I think anything else before. And I think a lot of this has to do with one, a book which I think you heard, The Journals of the Wills. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. It's after Rogue One, some people started talking about that.
Okay, so that's actually been a very important thing. But two, I think Luke realized something here. I think Luke realized after all this situation that's going on, I think he realized that the Jedi Knights will BS. And that is that they honestly believe you can make balance by having one and not the other.
Yeah,
having balance means having balance. You have to accept the good and the bad.
Yeah,
there's no such thing as one balance. You can't do that. You need to have a balance.
And yeah, with Anakin Skywalker, like the whole thing for the Chosen One, they're like, oh, it brings balance to the Force, and it's like Anakin did bring balance to the Force. He dismantled the Sith and the Jedi, which brought balance, so neither side had the stronger end. But the Jedi, yeah, you were like, exactly, balance cannot just be light or light over dark or dark over light, because that's not balance. That's one side being more powerful than the other.
And the thing about it is that, and to me, when you see how the things rinse and repeat, it seems like they haven't learned from their mistakes. And I think Luke is like, you know what, this is not going to work. I have lost my Jedi Knights. I mean, my own nephew turned on me and stuff. It's the same thing over and over again. And I think he realized the only way you can have balance is you be in the middle. Understand that there's going to be darkness and light, and you have to balance it out with yourself. And again, it's just a perfect example of why I feel that people have missed the point of why the prequels, and I'm not going to go deep into how the films are good in the prequels, but that's a debate for another time. Well, I'm just talking about how the Jedi was looked at, even in the Clone Wars. Let's go to Ahsoka and how they treated her, and how they did even, they didn't support her, and actually she was framed for something she didn't do. How Anakin wanted her, her teacher was, stood by him and wanted her to come back, but she left because of the fact that the Jedi's didn't have confidence in her. How can she be a part of the Jedi after they looked down on her? And I never forget the scene that Ahsoka said, and when Anakin had said something, and this was actually a turning point of him and his frustration with Jedi Order. That is, he looked at Ahsoka and said, "You know how many times I wanted to leave the Jedi Order," and she really knew. Yeah, I know. She felt it, and that's pretty much brings question to the Jedi Order. And another thing about it is that people seem to forget it was the Jedi's who actually turned Anakin to the dark side to begin with.
Well, for I'll say
You
that
didn't realize
Anakin
that.
made
Yeah,
okay.
he made a
Like
choice. Yes,
Anakin,
I get it.
I'm going to explain that. I'm going to agree with you, but first I'm just going to say that Anakin made his own choice, no matter what. But the whole rules, God, I think I just screwed up saying rules, but rules of no romantic attachments meant that he had to keep his relationship with the Padme relationship with Padme a secret, which caused more stress on an already stressful situation where the whole galaxy was at war. And then when he went to Yoda to hey, I need some help, like, oh, just of course Anakin couldn't come out right out and say what was wrong, so he had to hide that, which caused Yoda, like, maybe even if Yoda had known what was going on, would have still given him the same advice of fuck off, just don't worry about that.
But here's the thing that
Don't
really.
pull the visions of someone you care about dying, which
uh,
a normal human reaction. If you really care about someone and you have these fears of a person dying, you're going to need more than a just don't worry about it.
okay, I'm gonna also go a little further here because here the thing is, from the Phantom Menace, this boy came to their temple. They evaluated him. There was no emotional attachment whatsoever. There was no really. It was almost like they didn't want him there. Number two, you have Obi-Wan Kenobi. Probably the worst choice to train the kid to begin with. If Qui-Gon was probably alive, I think it would have been differently. But you didn't have Qui-Gon alive. You had Obi-Wan, and he was strict. He was way too strict for his own good. He softened as the years went on, as he became a Jedi Knight. But here's the breaking point of this situation: they never trust Anakin. In the Revenge of the Sith, it was very clear they never trust Anakin. And here's the thing that really bothers me about this: the Jedi's it's their Jedi fault for their own destruction. What if the Jedi's always said that their core beliefs were in?
Say
They're
that again.
keepers of what is the core belief of the Jedi's?
Fuck. Not
They're,
fuck, of course, for obvious reasons there.
they're keepers of the peace.
Yeah. I was starting to try to rethink the whole Jedi code thing, so that's why I sort of drew a blank there.
They were keepers of the peace. They were supposed to be people who would spread the love and joy of the Force, to be one with the Force. Yet they contradict themselves every time. The Clone Wars was a perfect example. How are you gonna be keeper of the peace and yet you're becoming generals and fighting in a war? That don't make no sense to me. And then the top of it all,
makes sense.
no, it don't. You ain't gonna see a rabbi or a priest coming out with an AK-47 saying,
That'd
"God
be
loves me."
cool. That'd be fucking cool.
But that was the whole thing. They contradict themselves all the time. And the one nail in the coffin that eventually had Anakin turn to the dark side, pretty much became the final push for him to turn to the dark side, was Mace Windu's actions against the Emperor. What did he try to do?
Tried to kill him.
Okay, there we go.
I can understand that action because you have this really fucking powerful Sith. You fuck that shit up.
No. First of all, you beat him. You disarm the guy. Anakin is right there. He's right there.
Oh God. Oh, I thought you meant the initial going into the into Palpatine's chambers, but yeah, disarming the guy over.
Yeah, he
Or
is over. You won.
Yeah, or just don't wait for Anakin to say anything and just kill him anyways. And you're dead, but a Sith Lord's dead too.
He was already there. He was already there. He could have said, "Anakin, we got him. Let's take them in. They already acknowledge they're not the police. They already acknowledge they're not that kind of authority. All right. All they have to do, if they feel that there's something conspiracy going on, okay, you got him, you disarmed him. He can't do anything after that. You know he's powerful. Okay, here you are, Mace Windu. You want Jedi High Masters. You got Anakin Skywalker. You take him in to custody. What did Anakin tell the guy when he said it was over? I'm gonna end this once and for all. And Anakin said, "No, this isn't right. He must stand trial." Anakin was right. He wasn't wrong. And guess what? Guess what Mace Windu said? No, he has the power of this and that. He's too dangerous to stay alive. Well, hold on a second. You're doing just as what a Sith Lord would have done. You're gonna use the Force to strike him down. This don't make no sense. So what are you thinking when at the end of that?
Where's the difference between the Jedi and the Sith? Because you do bring up a good point.
No difference.
And with Mace Windu's, I'm going to bring up Mace Windu's fighting style. His fighting style actually brings him much closer to the dark side than a Jedi really should go. And I forget what it's called. I'm thinking of Ventress, who's a character, not the fighting move, but he has a style that does dance around the dark side. So yeah, he more than the other Jedi does dance much closer with the Sith. So your whole where's the difference between Jedi and Sith? Using him as example is very good because his fighting style does makes.
But that's the whole thing. That's what the whole thing about it. And even let's just go with the film that everybody treasures, the original trilogies. They were manipulating Luke Skywalker. They didn't tell him about his father until he got his hand cut off and all that situation going on. They didn't tell him about what was going on and that whole garbage about we did it for a certain point of view. Are you kidding me? Are we playing politics now with this?
That was actually I'll chalk that up to horrible writing, and I mean it's not horrible writing. It's just retconning like really sloppily. We didn't do it because shit. What are we going to say? Oh yeah, it was from a different point of view. Yeah.
Now, that's a politician saying that. That was the whole point about the Jedi Order. I mean, you want. They basically was using Luke Skywalker to destroy Darth Vader. That was the whole thing. They said, we need you to train so you can get rid of this evil. And they never mentioned what has happened before he became Darth Vader. And that was the whole thing. And that's why I felt that if Lucas would have had his way, it probably would have been the Revenge of the Jedi instead of Return of the Jedi, and Luke Skywalker turned to the dark side because the way they manipulated him. I mean, you got to be realistic here. We look at the Jedi. Everybody wants to look at the Jedi as these heroes of the Force, but they are just as bad as the Sith they were fighting for. And the one thing that is actually I've read in one of these Star Wars books that when Darth Bane had mentioned, he said, "Look, all due respect, they turn a blind eye on the dark side. They are no longer keepers of the Force. They're protectors of a system that is truly embedded in corruption, and that's the Republic. They became puppets of the Republic, and there's a whole lot of examples from the Old Republic all the way to now. So when I hear Luke Skywalker say what he said, it makes sense because the Jedi's thinking is flawed and even been proven from the books an utter lie. And it makes them no better than the Sith. If anything, it makes them even more arrogant because they think that the one way is the best way and no other way, and they seem to turn off everything else. One of the main problems with if you read, and you got to read the book. The book actually brings it more detail. The Phantom Menace by Terry Brooks, way better. It explains Qui-Gon Jinn's beef with the Jedi Order and why he never was the High Master of the Council. And he's one of the most respected Jedis in there, but he was never allowed to sit on the throne because he had more of an open view than those Jedi who were sitting on the throne, including Master Yoda. In the book version, which they actually edited out in the movie, which I wish they didn't do, Yoda actually had communicated with Qui-Gon, and in the end of the book of the Revenge of the Sith, he said, "I only wish I knew about your. I only wish I recognized how much wisdom you really had, and I'm really ready to learn." That was when the Force Ghost came into play.
Yeah, I was sad that they didn't that they didn't include this conversation between Yoda and Qui-Gon in the movie.
So to me, I'm sorry to say, look, a lot of people's gonna hate me for it. You probably disagree with some of the stuff I said, but to me, if people think the Jedi's are heroes, you haven't been paying attention to the prequels, the TV series, and even here right now. So when I hear Luke Skywalker said, "I can only know one truth. It's time for the Jedi to end." It means it's time to dismantle the old thinking of the Jedi Order. I don't think the Jedi Order is going to die out, but I think what's going to happen with Rey, they're going to be more in the balance, and you're going to see the Gray Jedi become more of a factor than just the Jedi's focusing on the light.
Yeah, I think that the Jedi are going to have a big overhaul. and I don't know if they will still retain their name of Jedi. They might change it. So.
I'm hoping that they'll fix it. I hope that they'll do it. But to me, that was the whole thing I wanted to talk to you about, because again, this idea that they're heroes, who are we kidding? they and to me they're corrupted by themselves. They're not as angels as one may think. And again, Clone Wars. I'm gonna bring up the Clone Wars when they had a change, when they realized that their force ability was being clouded by Darth Sidious. Did they choose to step aside and step out of the situation? No, they said, let's cover it up. We cannot allow them to know that we're been weakened by the dark side. Wait a minute. You're only going to make the matters worse. You don't think your enemy doesn't know that? He's the one that's doing it.
I can understand though about them not wanting to hide their weakness, just because you don't have a powerful enemy around you, and say, yeah, we're actually frightened of you, because that will elicit them to possibly do more to you. That's why back in the day, bragging was such a thing. It wasn't just to brag, it was so other people didn't attack you. And then you also want people to trust your organization. So you're not going to go, oh, we're experiencing some really bad trouble, so we're probably shit out of luck if anything happens, because you still want to be supported. I can understand them about hiding.
The same way too. How to help for them.
But at least there was more a basis than, hey, Anakin, we're going to make it so you have to hide your relationship, and then we're not going to trust you or give you good relationship advice, because fuck you. And totally misread the prophecy. At least this one actually makes sense.
I don't think it's a misread. I just think
it
what
was
it is
misread
they were too
because they didn't know about what balance really meant. So they misread balance as the light side's going to win.
Yeah, they still did it when Luke came into the picture. Well, the point is, that was my point about it, is that everything comes in pairs. That's what balance is. You have to have one or the other, man and woman, yin and yang, light and dark. You don't. There's no such thing as one. And the thing about it is that they to me, they were too close-minded, too corrupted, and they have fallen into the same downfall as the Sith. The Sith fell because they was fighting among themselves. If you read on the stories of the Sith Wars and everything else, the Jedi didn't beat them. They beat them. The Sith beat themselves. And that's why when I see the Force Awakens, which everybody said is a mirror image of the New Hope, well, yeah, because number one, they're repeating the same dumb mistakes they did last time. You haven't learned the first time because you still think that this is the ultimate force, this is the ultimate power, and nothing else matters. Stop looking at your cell phone.
Okay, I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you.
I'm looking at your Pokemon hat. That's what it is. Now I'm gonna be quiet. Now I'm gonna let you take over, and you give me your fear of the Jedi and what their flaws and weaknesses are. So go ahead.
Okay. Oh shit! I actually wrote a post on my blog talking about a few of the flaws of the Jedi. So I
So
just good. Hello, hello. Hi. I love you too. Okay, I can hear you.
all right,
Yes.
I know the secret now, so I can fix this without going out to log off. So
Okay, that's good. But one thing that didn't really make sense was the whole you can't form relationships or marry because bad shit will happen. And it's just like I can sort of understand it of hey we want to make sure loyalties don't stray from the Jedi, and that if you have to make a choice of between what's good for the Jedi and what's good for your loved one, you'll choose the greater good. But there have been Jedi that have fallen in love and that haven't turned to the dark side, so that point's sort of moot. It's now defunct Star Wars Expanded Universe. There was Mara Jade and Luke Skywalker. They Mara Jade, for those who don't know, originally started as the hand of the Emperor. Not a good person, but eventually she changed, and they had a kid. And so there's been, Leia herself, in the now defunct Expanded Universe, she became a Jedi. She used Force power. She had a cool lightsaber. And she turned out to be a really good person there. Surprisingly, she fell in love, she had kids, and she chose the greater good. And with I don't know if it's now non-canon or not, the Jedi Apprentice series,
it still is.
Okay, good.
It
Oh,
still
thank
is because
God.
it takes place before the events of the New Hope. So where are you at?
Yeah, I'm in my study. Sorry, my right foot just fell asleep. Give me like a moment.
Okay,
Give me a
you
moment.
may continue.
Okay. Yeah, I was waiting for my foot actually. But thank you for saying Jedi Apprentice series is still canon. And Qui-Gon was in love with Tall. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And okay, he did sort of start falling to the dark side after she was killed. But Obi-Wan, I think a combination of Obi-Wan and Tall's little Force Ghost speaking to him, helped, send him to the light side of the Force again. So, it was like a little deviation, but, he still snapped back. And, with all his training, with all his loyalties, he was still able to. So the whole don't marry thing, for one, doesn't make sense and would have been a factor of keeping Anakin on the light side of the Force, not going all Sith Lord. And then there's the fact that
Well, here's the thing. I want to make you continue. You've mentioned something that's very important. They all have one thing in common: one's own personal arrogance, one's own personal struggles, and their own personal demons. All right, they can choose to be in the light or the dark, and that's not nothing going to stop that. It's still going to be the individual, not nothing, really nothing else. So the one about balance of the force is balance of oneself and how they deal with oneself. Each day they come through it. And again, I think with the term of Luke Skywalker, this is not. Everybody's saying this is not going to be the same Luke Skywalker that you saw in the original Star Wars trilogy, nor should it be. And
no,
it's going to be
he's
kind
been
of
through a lot since then.
so. And they don't do. I heard they don't do flashbacks, but we getting a little snippet of what may have happened to his temple, why Kylo Ren chose to do what he did. Because keep in mind, what Kylo Ren did in the Force Awakenings, he wanted to do. All right, he came to that decision. You can say he was having a strong informed part, but he wanted to embrace that side of the Force. All right, again, all this stems from one's choice, not something that in divine that fortune, one choice have really it really is what define what you do. If you want to go, if you like same thing here in the real world, if you rob a bank or rob a car, or do anything crazy that you know is against the law, you chose to do that, and you must embrace the consequence with that. The same thing with anything else. And to me, the rules, which is kind of strange because Lucas, I don't know if you know, Lucas actually commented on the Jedi law about marriage. And he said that there are some things that he has actually debunked. One he debunked was they're not allowed to have an attachment, which is why they're not allowed to marry. But they are allowed to have sexual contact, which is kind of weird. They're not celibate.
Like, that's not really made clear within the movies. The movies make it seem like they're all
Exactly.
supposed to. Like, if you want to make that a thing, you know, hint at that. Of course, it's supposed to be aimed for kids, but you can do a comment or two that might go over the kids' heads. But the parents will be going, "You dirty, dirty little slut."
But that was the whole weird thing. So I'm saying, so why did you even put that there to begin with? I can get what the purpose is. One of them was the fact that two Jedi was fighting over the same woman, and their force was so immense and strong that they
Wait, wasn't that a non-canon thing in one of the Star Wars little comics?
It was, and even the car. I'm surprised the car actually found it because I thought this was one that people was going to stay buried, and that was the reason why they decided that no Jedi should marry or be attached to anything like that because the jealousy could bring the end of the universe, which makes no sense whatsoever.
That was like, I don't know. When I read the comic, I sort of, yeah, I was, as I said, I was a much bigger Star Wars nerd back in the day, but I found it, the initial reading, I like, wow, that's a stupid story. But then I was like, maybe Qui-Gon was just getting so fucking pissed off at Obi-Wan. He's like, I'm going to make up some really weird shit and see if he believes it. Oh my fucking god, he does.
But for anybody else, it's called Star Wars Tales, by the way. And by the way, that's the only one that's the only story that actually spilled over to the actual movies because they actually had another story where Han Solo crash landed on Earth and died, and Indiana Jones found him.
I need to fucking read that. I need to drink and then I need to fucking read that shit because
that actually was part of the stories.
Sorry, I'm just fuck my life.
So keep that in mind that was the only one. But the point we're saying is that, and I'm going to continue, is that there's something called choice, and them choices will have consequences, whether it's positive or negative. And for the Jedi's and the Sith, that's same rule applies. Continue, Josh. I'd like to hear more about your interesting analysis on that Jedi stupidity.
I like the interesting, nice choice of words. But another thing is that the whole they take the Jedi take new potential Jedi. For everyone that doesn't know, when you're when you're taken in by the Jedi, you don't automatically become a Jedi. You have to be accepted by a knight or a master, and if you don't get accepted in time, then you're not a Jedi anymore. You're like Force sensitive still, of course, but you're not. You don't go on the path to become like a Jedi Knight or a Master. So, potential Jedi, they'll pick potential Jedis when they're kids. They'll go like to the parents and like, hey, yo, we're going to take your child and we're not going to tell them anything about you, where they came from. You're not going to know what the fuck happened to them, and they won't even know about you or care about you. Just so you know, they won't potentially choose you over the Jedi Order. It's like legalized child kidnapping in a sense.
No, not if their parents are willing, but the thing is, they do that for another reason. And actually,
I they're not willing, but it's still sort of a creepy, thing. Like
that kind of situation falls back to the Japanese style of how they did kung fu. The younger you get them, the less likely they'll fall to the arrogance and stupidity of what they saw around them. for that reason, the Jedi's have decided to start young. That's why when they looked at, I know a lot of people were scratching their head when they looked at Anakin. Anakin's like 10, right? 10
No,
or 9,
they
right?
do it a shitload younger for potential
Yes, they
Jedi's.
2 years old. It's just 2 years old is the starting point. Keep them out of mind. 1 to 2 years old. That's when they start the training process. So when people look, and they don't explain this well in the movies. Keep that in mind.
We both have, experienced the expanded universe. That's why we know some things that sane people don't.
So the point being is they thought of them early, so they can get trained. So that way there be no attachment. And it's pretty much obvious when you look at the Attack of the Clones, where the Jedi, was training the young potentials, and they had like response that just didn't sound human. That's because they were taught not to use their emotion.
Or here's the thing. George Lucas is shitty at writing scripts if he doesn't have someone watching him.
Well, he's taking a page of the Klingon. I mean, not the Klingons, the Vulcans. The Vulcans, I don't believe it's a Klingon. But you know what the Vulcans? Vulcans is supposed to be eradicate any kind of emotion, because emotion to them is frightening to them. They don't want emotion.
I need to actually hit the restroom, and I'll be back.
I can't believe this.
I'm sorry.
Doing the critical time.
Okay, do the Klingon and Vulcan shit.
I'm only kidding. Go ahead.
Better be kidding.
She going there. Why are you still standing there? All right, there you go. Put on G.I. Joe avatar. Put down her microphone. But in any case, but here's the thing, and I know again you guys will disagree, and that's fine. But in my own personal feeling, and watching all 7 Star Wars films now, going on 8 when this film is released, the more I see how the Jedi's work, the more it's evidence to me that their system is very much flawed. They're pretty much the makers of their own enemies in many, many ways. Again, with Anakin, they could easily stomp out the possibility of turning to the dark side if they were even more reasonable. It's still Anakin's decision. He still made the choices. Yeah, I granted it didn't feel like a natural choice that you expect. But again, if you look at all the stuff they have done, they didn't help their cause either by being so mistrustworthy of him, showing him no respect. In fact, if anything, they should have been questioning what Palpatine was doing. It was obvious that Yoda and Obi-Wan didn't trust him, and yet they put Anakin in a situation where not only where he could be manipulated more, but actually done it where it seemed like they was pointing all fingers on Anakin. And all Anakin really wanted, besides being a Jedi, what's also happened is with his wife that he kept in secret. There's really no excuse for Obi-Wan not telling. That was kind of quick. But was telling Luke Skywalker is about his father, what has happened. And to me, they were just grooming him to get rid of the Empire, both Darth Vader and Senator Palpatine, and that was the whole thing. So again, when I see the Jedi Order come into play, when I see what they've done, and how they continue to repeat the same dumb mistakes, is it surprising to anyone that Luke Skywalker would take that path and say, "All right, enough of this. We got to bend in the Jedi Order, and have an order where balance is taught." Now that you're back from the restroom, Joshkin,
Hi.
what's your feeling on this, and what's your other feeling on the Jedi's situation? First of all, you didn't disagree with me yet, so obviously I must be saying something that's.
I think you're really in confusion of how I view things, which is really hilarious. You're just going to probably disagree with me. I mean, even before the podcast, he was saying that, and then it's just, I'm like, I don't really, disagree with you, so we'll just see how long this takes for him.
But you haven't even said not one thing. Oh, I disagree with you on this because this, and that.
Did you
obviously you must have seen something.
You think that I think the Jedi are some, big hero things, without stain?
They're fanboys who worship the Jedi Order.
I like the Jedi. I would prefer the Jedi over the Sith, but it's like this saying that they don't have flaws is they have flaws. The Order itself and individual Jedi have flaws. I mean, I just don't like how in the Star Wars movies so far, hopefully, The Last Jedi will change this, that everything's good versus evil with no chance of really in between. With Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, it seemed like they might be taking this little nuanced road of there's light and dark, but then there's something else, something that is not good or evil. And they didn't. And the now defunct Expanded Universe, my favorite character that is now not canon. I like to think that she's not a Sith Lord. Like, I ignore that part of the now defunct canon, just because that her name was Virjar, and she did have this. There's no really light or dark. If you're an asshole, you're just actually an asshole. There's nothing, pulling you from one side or the other. I just thought it sort of ruined her character when it's like, oh, she was a Sith all along that was manipulating Jason Solo into, turning to the dark side. I just thought that really ruined this whole build up of the character. And that's really why I ignore that part, because I like thinking that, yay, they're actually doing something nuanced where if you don't follow the light side, that doesn't mean you're a bad person or an agent of the dark side. It's just you're not, follower of the light. It doesn't mean you
Well,
want to destroy the
that,
tgalaxy. It's just that you realize that the concepts of good and evil are extremely more complicated than, than one single sentence or phrase or motto can, tell you.
well, that was the one thing that I think that one compelling argument. People did not like this dialogue. When I actually listened to it, I've seen it a couple of times, and I'm like, interesting. When you know Luke, not Luke, Obi Wan and Anakin was fighting, and Obi Wan looked at they looked at Anakin and with the saddest eyes I ever seen. He said, "I failed you," and you hear Anakin say, "I knew the Jedi was plotting to take over," and he's hearing Obi Wan saying, "Don't you know Palpatine is evil? Why can't you see that?" And then Anakin responds, "From my point of view, the Jedi's are evil." And it really, and the people didn't understand why they hate that line, but I understood what it is. And it really goes back to certain things that go on in our world. Some people don't see themselves doing evil stuff.
Well,
A lot of them don't. They see it in their point of view. They're just doing it to either survive, to either to do this because they have no choice to do it. They desperate. They need good things. They never see whether it's criminal or not that what they're doing is harmful towards others. They see it as a certain point of view. I'm doing what I have to do as necessary. Perfect example: war. I don't want to name any war, but just war.
yeah, that's
What 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 One person's gonna sit there and say, "My side is the good side, it's the light, while your side is the dark." Ain't nobody gonna. They both gonna say they're both from the light, and the other guy I'm fighting for is evil. We need to take care of it.
I'm going to bring up the science fiction series that I'm a huge fan of, more so than Star Wars, Animorphs, because
Oh yeah, I
even
knew he was
though
gonna come.
yeah, you were waiting, I'm like, maybe I can fool him in this, but the thing is, it's the books, not the horrible TV adaptation. The book started off with a dichotomy of good versus evil. The teenagers were fighting against these evil yerks that were all evil, but by the series' end, there's no good and evil. There's just this whole lot of gray. And it's like you can understand different characters' point of views. The yerks become extremely complicated because at first you're like, oh, they all want to take over, worlds. When you find out that some, like Fisher 3, are do want that, do want to conquer, do want to bring the Andalites to their knees, but others are just doing it because that's how they've been raised. They don't know any other way. They don't know there is another option. And there's a third group that don't want to take hosts at all, unwilling hosts. And so, take a third route of more peaceful route. So, just like
Okay,
the evil guy. So that's why, like with the Force, like it needs to, I want that dichotomy in there too, because that's what made that young adult series that has, actually explored, the relationship between good and evil much more than, Star Wars.
but that's why I think they try to do with Empire Strikes Back. I think they did it more successfully with Empire Strikes Back, and even Return of the Jedi to an extent, because when Luke was fighting Vader for the first time, he didn't know about his father. He didn't know about him being his father. He just saw a guy who was evil. He's trying to destroy, everything that's so dear to him, and he's going to do everything he can. And he fought with Bruce Force, knowing he wasn't really ready to fight him to begin with. And as a result, he not only got beaten, but he found out something he didn't expect to hear. And it really raised the question: wait a minute, if he was his father, how this happened? I mean, how this could possibly happen? And they actually raised the question, and it really raised a good question. Evil, good is not as black and white as many people think. There's a whole lot more to what's going on here, and the Return of the Jedi shows that okay, there's a story behind Darth Vader that we're not familiar with. Something happened to this dude that let him go on his
If
path.
only that backstory was worth anything. They
No,
just
like I
didn't do
said,
it.
I'm not talking about how good or bad the prequels are.
I know, but still, I'm just like, I really wish that whenever
We save
someone
that for
brings up
later.
of a possible history of Darth Vader, like I just disappointed because like it could have been good. It could have swayed me into really liking the character, following his struggles and downfall.
Mhm.
I
And like I said, I'm even going to throw in the Shadow of the Empire. I'm even going to show in that. It's a good book. I actually like the book. Everybody said it
Timothy
was the best book.
Zahn, fucking awesome writer.
You know,
Is it?
and and what he was going through, and how much he did not like the other guy was trying to play both sides for fools. He recognized what was going on. He also recognized that okay, if anybody's going to take my son down, it will be me, but it ain't going to be you. All right. So there's definitely a struggle there, and it actually shows how much a struggle he has. And it also mentioned one thing in the book that I'm actually glad it did. Anakin, aka Darth Vader, never fully committed to the dark side. He never went completely over. In the book, he said, "I can never fully surrender myself to the dark side. I got it. I'm here. I'm aware that the Empire not what it seems, but right now I must serve him. All right. If I can get my son, it's complete. If we can school together, it's complete. Every motivation he has done, strangely enough, has to be family related. That attachment that he had, which is a justifiable, um, unhealthy attachment. But it also shows again, okay, he still is technically in the light. If he's still technically in the light and he's in the darkness, again, light, dark is still the individual.
Yeah, it's much more
His action speaks
complicated
itself.
than that.
Yeah.
But
And a
generally,
perfect example of this, I think the perfect example I think you will agree with, the last Airbender brought it out perfectly.
the what?
The last Airbender.
Okay, I've never seen the show.
Oh my god.
Don't,
Excellent
if
show.
we go over everything I haven't seen, we'd be
I'm
one
not
here
going
all
over his
day
I
and you
didn't know.
need therapy.
I'm not gonna go over all day, but I'm bringing up a point that the Fire Nation, everybody thought Fire Nation were evil. They're not really evil. They're not. All right, they pretty much represent what most civilization goes for every day, and why we continue to have these conflicts every day. We believe the Middle East are bad. They don't see themselves as bad. The Jedi think they're right, while the Sith represents darkness and evil. The Sith does not see themselves as that. They see the Jedi as the problem. So, again, this idea that the Jedi are a bunch of angels and a true masters of the Force, no, they're just not. Josh, you want to say your last words
Don't kill
before
me.
you have to?
I have so much not to live for. But good, yeah. But how the Jedi and Sith are presented, like if you ask random people on the streets or a situation, they will just go, "Oh, Jedi are the good guys, Sith are the bad guys," and the nuance is very, very much overshadowed by the whole good versus evil, scenario. And so I just want that to actually be showcased a lot more of, hey, there's these good guys that are not Jedi. They're in the middle, but they're still very much doing good. And that's
And
why I hope that the Rey, and I was about to say a totally different name from the wrong series for Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker and Rey being like Rey Jedi. And I think it would really help to change the name of their order to help better reflect that fact. I mean, they could go with the New Jedi Order, they could go with Grey Jedi. I don't think they'll probably be dropping Jedi from the name completely just because that wouldn't be good branding.
well, there are Jedi's out there that are not Jedi's. There's
I meant them. I meant
they're all the
the
Church of the
from the
Force.
movies, and from what we see as heroes, because there's a difference from non-Jedis that are, just, people maybe mention the expanded universe, maybe just minor characters in the movie, and Luke Skywalker going that route. There's because Luke Skywalker is the whole mythos of Star Wars, where, people can generally pay much more attention to, even if they haven't seen the series.
All right, so that's good, fair enough. And to me, like this, with the new way of going, there's more possibilities. We already have the Force Awakens, where those things went down, and to me, this is where we're now just getting into the gist of the story, the gist of the chapter, and I'm hoping they really do explore it, and it looks like they are. The Journals of the Wills is in the movie. They actually mention it in the unabridged version of the book, so it has to be in the movie. We now recognize that the guy who got killed earlier was force sensitive and belonged to an organization known as the Church of the Force. That's going to be a focus of the story as well. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on, but most importantly, we got to get a little bit of more details of Kylo Ren. What happened to him? What's his true motivation, and what have he improved since this encounter with Rey? How is Rey's training holding up? Um, we already sense that she can sense light and dark, and and the balance. So again, this is something that I'm hoping they go further on and keep the entertainment expense high. One thing I will say, a lot of people was concerned about by Finn. Finn's going to be in the movie. All right, he's going to have to play an active role. He's not going to be sitting in a tube chamber paralyzed throughout the whole film. All right, he's gonna play a big role. Don't worry. Keep in mind, the man got his spinal cord sliced off by his lightsaber. I'm surprised he's still alive in the beginning with. So you don't survive. You shouldn't survive that. Yeah. But like I said, this is part one. There's a whole lot of stuff I want to get into. The Jedi is just one of them because I feel that the Last Jedi title really caught a lot of people by surprise. It was surprised they named it that. But after seeing the trailer and after hearing those words that Luke said, it makes sense to me that it's the Last Jedi because he represents the last of the old order. Even though technically, if you still go by the original canon, he won't be the leader of the new order, but he still represents that last of the old order. And it was very clear that that style of thinking just wasn't working. It failed on him. All right, and this idea that balance is only the light is just utterly ridiculous. Who knows what the other two have to stay at the store. Also, before we go, can we both agree on this? The hallway scene, Rogue One, awesome.
What was that when they were going into the base and everyone's? What's the hallway?
Vader. The Vader hallway scene in Rogue One.
You mean like the last few seconds of the film?
The last ending. Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah, that was cool. I don't like Darth Vader, but damn, he is cool sometimes.
I mean,
and that was just like that slicing, and I was like,
And you know what people still, people still complain about that.
That was cool.
You know why they say that? Because how are you gonna do all this and he fighting like an old man against Obi-Wan Kenobi? Well,
Wait. It's Obi-Wan fucking Kenobi, a trained fucking Jedi, a Jedi Master. Is much more
no,
different than carving up just, random rebels.
yeah, and you also talk about a film that was made in the '70s where they had almost no special effects. They had a flashlight and a stick poke.
Yeah, and like if you
They
listen,
can't hit
the
those
comment,
lightsabers hard.
yeah, exactly. If you go and listen to, people talking about interviews, behind the scenes stuff, those were really, really, really fragile that could break just so fucking easily. Of course they
And you
can't
saw,
do it like they can in the new
and you
movie.
saw the, and you saw the effect if you look at Obi-Wan's lightsaber. He had the wire sticking out on the thing, and you can actually see the little bright flashlight light inside the tube. You're not gonna hit nothing hard with that. No, you're gonna listen. I love the scene because it was intense just by them talking to each other.
Yeah,
Listen,
their
okay,
looks, their movements, both were excellent actors. Both,
yeah, agreed.
the voice of Darth Vader and the guy actually, in the suit. Because
Yeah, I feel bad
spoiler
for her.
alert, they're not the same person.
Uh, I feel kind of bad that guy. If you hear his voice behind the scenes, it was obvious why they went with James Earl Jones. His voice was. I don't know if he was he Russian.
I don't
The
know. I
actor.
haven't really heard his voice before, and it's
I
kind of
have,
one
and
of
I'm like,
those.
wow. If they would have used that, it would have been a whole different game.
I
But he
probably
definitely.
have heard his voice before. I just can't really recall it.
It's not menacing. That's the problem. So
Just
you
like,
need it. That's why I feel that no other voice can do Darth Vader but James Earl Jones. You, they almost didn't put Darth Vader in the Rebels. You know that he almost wasn't written in there
oh
unless James
shit,
Earl Jones
really?
did the voice. Yeah, if James Earl Jones didn't do the voice. They weren't going to write him in there. He was going to be left out.
Uh,
They mentioned that in the panel.
yeah, I don't really keep up with the TV shows or something.
Or TV show don't keep up with the TV shows.
I think that in the TV show they did the whole stupid fucking thing with Darth Maul being resurrected, basically, and coming back.
yeah, he has a metal waist. I don't want to talk about.
I don't. I'm sorry, but like I read in one of those, the same thing with the stupid reason why Jedi can't marry, uh, thing of comic of collection of stories, and
Look,
then they mentioned that and like, hey, at least it's not canon. And then I hear some people talking about, well, in the news, and like the was show, I'm like, fuck,
uh,
fuck. So
like I said before, I like Darth Maul. I wish he had more of a role in the Phantom
but
Menace. There's no way
don't
you can
resurrect
you
him
can't
like that.
survive.
What the hell? Sorry,
You
I have
cannot come back
feelings.
from being twice from the waist down and falling endlessly in a bottomless pit. There's no coming back from that. I don't care if your brother has some magical powers, but
I don't.
he was so popular they had to bring him back somehow. So
I don't really care about how they brought him back in the show because it'll still be stupid, and I will be worse for it.
it can't be no stupid what they did with Michael Myers in the Halloween movies, or with Jason in the Friday 13 movies.
You could just go with any slasher villain that is inexplicably alive again.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's pretty much all we have to say about this show. We didn't get the top five. Guardians of the Galaxy is out. It's number one, pretty much,
I've
more
seen it.
likely. But Fast Furious, you don't say nothing. You keep that to your blog. I haven't seen it yet, so I want to
You
see
will enjoy it. It is awesome. I saw an IMAX 3D with Revs and
links with the Infinity War. I'm fine. Does it? All that is it links with the Infinity War.
well, they
I
meant
take that as a no.
no. Wait, hang on. I was just trying to think of how to phrase it without spoilers. You know, but one of the characters does mention sometime in the movie, I'm going to go after Thanos and I'm going to kill him, and so
Oh
I
yeah,
might.
That Batista. Thank you. But
Yes, yeah, I was like, I had to think about 50 different ways. That's why I paused.
it was, but don't worry about it. I'll figure it out. I'm gonna watch the film. I just don't want to be spoiled by it. In
I
any case,
understand.
we're not gonna do part two of Star Wars. We're gonna go pretty much with traditional free for all stories. That we're gonna talk about some fun, weird stories that's happening. We probably go back to the videos and stuff. Um, that is if you're around next week. I don't know your schedule,
I think I
but we
will
want to have a
be.
JJ.
I know with Extra Happy, if it's going to be on the weekend, it will be. I'll do it. Make sure that my co-host Kat can do Saturday, so Sunday will be free.
Did I host with Cat before?
I don't know. I think that when Josh talks, and we're still trying to contact Omar. But when we did Josh Talks, I think Kat might have been on an episode or two you were on.
So we want to do this. When is this show? What's the show again? Extra Happy?
With Extra Happy, it's on my YouTube channel, Josh Talks. It's an Animorphs
Do a
podcast.
crossover. Do a crossover.
Like we have the episode planned already, but
And I get to learn more about Animorphs.
you can. It'll just I'll ask her. Just see.
This is a crossover.
I know, but she likes things being planned, and so hence I actually have a reading schedule on the list.
All right, so you do your Saturday, and ask Kat because I have an episode I want to do, and I need the ladies in the house to do this.
Okay, I'm not a real lady, but fuck it.
So I'm gonna keep it. I'll put it this way: is because as of right now, I'm doing a flashback review of action films. And many people still have this idea that popcorn action films are men film only, and it's not true. Women watch this more than men does. Same thing that men watch the soap operas that more than women does.
And then if they don't admit,
basically what I'm going to do is we're going to give our top 5 best action popcorn films that we like. It don't have to be for any crazy because these are popcorn films.
Oh well, there would definitely that Taken with Liam Neeson is definitely going to make the list.
All right, so that's fine. Don't tell me what the other lists are, and tell Kat if she wants to do it. Because ask Kat if she wants to do it. We'll do it next week, and I'll give it a link and everything else. And you can give it a link as well.
All right? I'm going to text her. No, contact her over Messenger now because if I don't now, I will forget.
Okay, so until she's doing that, I'll keep you posted. We will have another show out there. It's going to be a free-for-all. And until next week, this is J77 saying take care. Be safe. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye-bye. Say goodbye, Josh.
Adios, amigos.